You're a senior who understands the importance of fat loss and not just weight loss. But you wonder, should I be eating differently as a senior? You should. And in this video, you'll learn how. But before we get there, let's bust one important myth, that your metabolism takes a nosedive when you reach whatever age you are. That is a myth. It slows down a little bit, but not exactly a nosedive. In one study, researchers studied people as young as 18 and as old as 81. They saw that between the ages of 18 and 50, there's no slowing down of the metabolism whatsoever. Only after the age of 50 does metabolism slow down, and only by about 4% per decade. That is not very much. Before age 50, it took you 2,000 calories to maintain your weight. After age 50, between ages 50 and 59, it might take you 1920 calories, so not a heck of a lot. Furthermore, where does this 4% decline come from? 3 of those 4% come from declines in muscle mass. This could easily be avoided with proper strength training and an adequate protein intake. So let's get that excuse out of our minds. So that's one thing that changes with age. Your metabolism slows down ever so slightly. But one other thing that happens with age is that your digestion isn't as good. You're not able to process the foods as effectively as you used to when you were younger. Because of that, your protein requirements are higher. You can't absorb it as well, so you need more of it. So what do you need to eat in order to lose body fat as a senior? One, you have to figure out the right number of calories first. Calories are the only thing that matters when it comes to weight loss. But they're not the only thing that matters when it comes to fat loss. That's protein as well. Everything else is just details. Whether you eat carbs or you don't eat carbs, doesn't matter. If you do 2 big meals per day or 5 small meals per day, doesn't matter. If you eat after 6 or you don't eat after 6, doesn't matter. You eat gluten, you don't eat gluten, doesn't matter. The only 2 things that matter for fat loss are calories and protein. So let's talk about calories first. How many do you need? You take your ideal body weight in pounds, multiply that by 13, and add in whatever you spend on exercise. So hypothetically, let's say you don't exercise, your ideal body weight is 150, you multiply 150 by 13, and that's your maintenance calories. Now, if you're eating that number of calories already, try dropping your caloric intake by about 20% and see if that starts your fat loss. Now, step number 2 is getting adequate amount of protein. What's adequate? Again, it's higher for seniors than it is for non-seniors. Furthermore, protein requirements depend on 3 factors. One, of course, is your age, but besides that, your body weight. Heavier people, larger people need more protein than smaller people. It just takes more food to sustain larger bodies. And 2 is your activity levels. Are you sedentary? Are you doing cardio only? Are you doing strength training only? Or are you doing strength training plus cardio? Those 4 levels have 3 different protein intakes, but let's assume you are doing strength training. In that case, you would require about 2 to 2.2 grams of protein per kilogram per day. If you're wondering, what are the best protein sources? There's what I call grade A protein. Grade A protein is anything with more than 30 grams of protein per serving. By and large, what fits those categories is pretty much just meat, fish, and seafood. So chicken, turkey, cod, halibut, shrimp, tilapia, stuff like that. Those are all great sources of protein. There are only a couple of vegetarian or vegan sources of protein that are decent. One is tofu and tempeh, and another one is whey protein. Also, egg whites fit the bill as well. Other than that, there's not very many vegan, vegetarian sources of grade A protein. Then there's what I call grade B protein. Grade B protein is anything between 10 and 30 grams of protein per serving. That's things like beans, lentils, Greek yogurt, Icelandic yogurt, etc. Then there's what I call grade C protein, which is anything with less than 10 grams of protein per serving. That's things that people commonly think are high protein sources, but actually are not. Things like nuts. All nuts are about the same, whether they're almonds, cashews, pistachios, walnuts, etc. They all have approximately 5 grams per handful. Not very much, but they do have a lot of calories. 1 slice or 1 cube of cheese is only about 5 or 6 grams. 1 glass of milk is about 6 grams. 1 medium egg is 6 grams. 1 large egg is 9 grams. So none of those are great sources of protein. Vegetables are absolutely abysmal. They're great to eat, by the way, but not because of their protein content. And so protein has one major benefit, and it's called the thermic effect of food, or thermic effect of feeding. What does that mean? What that means is that when you eat food, you don't absorb 100% of those calories. You absorb about 90% of those calories. The other 10% are used to digest, absorb, and assimilate. But that's a broad guideline. This percentage varies based on what you're eating. If you're eating pure fat, for example, just butter or olive oil, your thermic effect is only about 2 or 3%. If you're eating pure carbs, for example, pasta or rice or bread, something like that, your thermic effect is about 5 or 10%. However, for pure protein, things like shrimps, oysters, stuff like that, your thermic effect is about 30%, okay? Between 25 and 30%. That means that if you eat 100 calories of an oyster, you're going to spend 25 to 30 of those calories digesting and assimilating that. That's why for seniors, a higher protein diet is a healthier diet than for younger individuals. If you like this information, I have a newsletter with lots more information just like this. If you click on the link in the description below, you'll get free access to this newsletter, and you can always unsubscribe. Thank you and goodbye.